The twin red moons hung over a broken world. Wind howled through the metal ruins of the old Earth colony, carrying the smell of rust and fear. Under a giant iron gate stood two alien sisters, Lyra and Naya, their silver skin covered in dust, their eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Humans called this place the Market of Flesh. Here, aliens were not visitors. They were goods, measured, priced, and sold. Lyra, the older one, held her sister's hand tightly. Naya's body was thin and weak. Her bones almost showed through her skin. They had been walking for days without food. The soldiers had caught them when they tried to steal water from a military outpost. Now they were here, waiting to be sold like animals. Around them, humans shouted numbers, laughing, drinking, and pointing. The market lights flickered red, white, and green, showing cages full of different species. Some crying, some silent, some already dead. Naya looked up at Lyra. Her voice was soft and trembling. "Sell me," she whispered. Lyra froze. "What did you say?" Naya's eyes were calm. "Sell me to the fattest, ugliest human here." Lyra thought she had heard wrong. "You're sick, Naya. You don't know what you're saying." But Naya smiled weakly. "I know exactly what I'm saying." Lyra looked around. There was a giant man near the center platform. His face covered with scars, his body so big that the metal chair under him bent. He was Commander Bragg, one of the richest human traders in this sector. His laugh echoed like thunder. He had already bought 3 alien slaves that night. Lyra shook her head. "No, anyone but him. He kills his slaves," Naya's voice broke. "Then it's perfect." For a moment, the noise of the market disappeared. Lyra stared at her sister. The younger girl's eyes had changed. Deep, glowing, almost golden. For the first time, Lyra felt something strange from her. A quiet energy, like a storm waiting inside a drop of rain. "Why, Naya?" Lyra asked, tears in her eyes. "Why would you want that?" Naya smiled again, a tired, sad smile. "Because this is not the end, sister. It's only a door." Before Lyra could ask more, a human guard grabbed Naya by the arm and pushed her toward the auction table. Lyra tried to follow, but another guard stopped her with a gun. The metal gate closed between them. The announcer shouted, "Lot number 47, young female Illyrin, half-starved but still breathing. Let's start at 50 credits." The crowd laughed. Bids went up fast. Commander Bragg raised his hand lazily. 200. No one dared to go higher. The hammer struck. "Sold! To Commander Bragg!" Lyra's heart sank. Naya turned her head one last time, her silver hair shining under the red lights. She didn't look scared. She looked ready. As Bragg's men dragged her away, Naya's voice entered Lyra's mind. Soft, clear, telepathic. "Don't cry. This is what I want." Then she was gone, swallowed by the fortress walls. Lyra fell to her knees. Around her, the market continued as if nothing had happened. The humans laughed. Machines screamed, and new slaves were brought in. She wanted to scream, but her voice wouldn't come out. Inside her mind, only one question burned. What did my sister mean? Far away, inside Commander Bragg's transport ship, Naya sat in a dark cell. The ship shook as it lifted off the ground. She closed her eyes, breathing slowly. The humans thought she was weak, dying, harmless. They were wrong. Under her skin, a faint light moved like liquid fire. Every heartbeat made it stronger. The telepathic field she had been hiding since the war began was waking up. She whispered to herself, "Just a little longer." Outside, thunder rolled across the red desert. Lightning flashed, and for a moment her reflection appeared on the metal wall. Eyes bright gold, lips smiling. Back at the market, Lyra stood up again. She looked at the sky where Bragg's ship vanished among the stars. "I'll find you," she said. The wind answered with silence. But deep inside the fortress of Commander Bragg, in a place no human could see, Naya's power whispered through the air, touching every wire, every sensor, every heartbeat. The humans thought they had bought another alien slave. They didn't know. They had just brought home the beginning of their end. The ship of Commander Bragg moved through the dark sky like a flying beast. Its engines growled, cutting through clouds of red dust. Inside, the air was heavy with the smell of oil and fear. Naya sat alone in her small metal cell. The walls were cold and wet, and the light above her blinked every few seconds. Every time it flashed, her reflection appeared, thin, weak, and dirty. But in her eyes there was still a small fire. She pressed her hand against the metal wall. She could feel the vibration of the ship, Dozens of alien hearts were beating nearby. She could sense them, silent, scared, waiting for their turn to be sold or tested. The humans didn't know. They thought telepathic energy had died with the fall of planet Elira, but it hadn't. It lived in her blood, and it was growing. Meanwhile, far away, Lyra walked through the broken streets of the colony. The market of flesh was behind her now, but its sound still echoed in her mind. The laughter, the screams, the hammer. She had no home to go back to. Elira was gone. Her parents were gone, and now Naya was gone too. Everywhere she looked, she saw posters of humans smiling beside alien slaves. Unity through control, the word said. The humans called it peace. But Lyra knew better. She found a corner under a half-destroyed building and sat there, wrapping herself in a torn blanket. She stared at the sky, the red moons, the endless stars. Somewhere out there, her sister was alive. She could feel it. In her head, a voice whispered, soft like wind. "Don't give up, Lyra. Watch the shadows." The humans are afraid too. Lyra looked around quickly, but no one was there. Only silence. Her hands began to shake. "Naya," she whispered, no answer. Only the wind again. But deep inside, she felt warmth, a connection. Maybe her sister had reached her mind across the stars. Inside the ship, Commander Bragg was in his control room, drinking a thick green liquid. His voice was loud, his laughter even louder. "These aliens," he said to his guards, "they look weak, but their bodies... Oh, their DNA is gold. The High Council will pay double for this one." One of the guards looked nervous. "Sir, the Eliran girl hasn't eaten for 2 days. Should we feed her?" Bragg grinned, showing yellow teeth. "No, weak ones talk less. Easier to handle." He turned toward the large glass window where Naya's cell could be seen from above. "Pretty thing, isn't she?" he said. "Such a waste for her kind to fight us." But deep below, in the darkness of the cell, Naya's eyes opened again. She had heard every word, and she wasn't angry. She was focused. She remembered what her mother once said long before the war. "Our minds are not weapons, Naya. They are mirrors. They reflect what others give us. If humans gave her fear, she would return fear. If they gave her pain, she would return pain." She closed her eyes. The light inside her chest began to move faster, spreading through her veins like liquid gold. The metal walls hummed softly. In another cell nearby, a creature with 6 arms looked up. "What is that sound?" it whispered. Another prisoner, a blue-skinned miner, said, "It's her, the Eliran girl. She's awake." The guards didn't hear, but the aliens did. One by one, their eyes opened. Hope, something they hadn't felt in years, flickered in the dark. Back on the colony, Lyra woke up from a strange dream. In it, she had seen Naya standing in front of a giant human fortress, her hands glowing. Behind her, fire and smoke rose like waves. When she opened her eyes, she saw a small light in the distance, a star moving fast across the night sky. It was Bragg's ship leaving orbit. Lyra stood up. She didn't know how, but she knew she had to follow it. Her sister was calling her. She found a broken human transport vehicle half buried in sand. She began to fix it with trembling hands, whispering to herself, "Wait for me, Naya, I'm coming." The engine roared weakly to life. Dust rose around her. The machine moved forward slowly, following the direction of the star. Above the clouds, in the black space between worlds, Naya's ship kept flying toward the fortress of the humans, a place full of secrets, experiments, and death. But inside one small cell, something new was being born. The humans didn't see it yet, but their greatest weapon was no longer theirs. The girl they bought as a slave was about to change everything. The fortress of Commander Bragg stood like a giant beast made of metal and fire. It was built inside an old human warship buried in the sand of the dead planet Zarth Prime. Its walls were black, its towers sharp, and its lights burned like eyes watching the night. The ship that carried Naya landed at the south gate. Steam hissed, doors opened, and guards dragged the prisoners out. Naya walked slowly, her feet bare, her eyes half closed. To the humans, she looked weak and harmless. That was exactly what she wanted them to see. Inside the fortress, the air was hot and full of noise. Machines hummed, cables sparked, and the smell of metal filled the halls. Humans in gray uniforms walked past with data pads, while aliens in chains cleaned the floors or carried heavy boxes. Naya was taken to Lab 9, a cold white room full of glass tubes and machines that pulsed with blue light. Commander Bragg entered, his boots echoing on the steel floor. He smiled when he saw her. "So this is the famous Eleron," he said, circling her like a hunter around his prey. "Beautiful, even when starving." He tapped his fingers on the table. "We'll begin testing tomorrow. If your blood is clean, the High Council will pay well." Naya stayed silent. She didn't blink. Bragg moved closer, his shadow falling over her. "Don't give me that stare, girl. You're lucky to be alive." She spoke for the first time since the auction. Her voice was soft but clear. "Alive doesn't mean free," Bragg laughed. "Freedom is for the strong. And you, little alien, are not strong." He turned away, not seeing the faint golden spark that flickered in her eyes. That night, when the lights went out, Naya sat alone in her glass cell. Her arms were bruised from injections, her lips dry. But inside her chest, she could feel her heartbeat growing louder, like a drum calling from another world. She closed her eyes. She saw her sister Lyra, walking under red moons, fixing a broken ship. She smiled faintly. "You'll find me soon," she whispered. Then she began to listen. Not with her ears, but with her mind. She felt the energy of the fortress, every electric current, every human heartbeat. The walls hummed like a song. Her mind reached through it, touching wires, machines, even the thoughts of a guard half asleep outside her cell. He dreamed of money. And fear. She smiled again. Naya focused. Slowly, she pushed her energy outward, just enough to move a small metal spoon on the floor. It trembled, lifted, then fell with a soft clang. It was small, but it was a start. In another part of the fortress, Commander Bragg met with a human scientist named Dr. Seelan. She was older, calm, and always looked tired. Her voice carried no emotion. "She's an Eliran," Seelan said, reading from her tablet. "Their kind once controlled minds. We killed most of them during the war. But if she still has that power," Bragg interrupted, "then she'll make us gods. Imagine an army that can crush planets without firing a shot. One thought, one command, and every alien kneels." Dr. Seelan looked up at him. "Or imagine one mistake, and every human dies," Bragg laughed. "That's why I'm in charge, Doctor. I don't make mistakes." But far below, in the quiet of her cell, Naya was already proving him wrong. The next morning, when the guards came to take her for more tests, something strange happened. The moment they opened the door, all the lights flickered. The walls shook slightly and the guards froze. "Did you feel that?" one asked. Before they could move, Naya looked at them, her golden eyes glowing brighter than before. One guard dropped his weapon and stepped back, breathing hard. His mind filled with whispers, her voice inside his head calm but cold. "You don't want to hurt me. You want to sleep?" He fell to the ground, unconscious. The other ran to sound the alarm, but the door slammed shut by itself. Naya stood, her hands glowing faintly. She didn't escape, not yet. She just wanted to test her control. She looked at the fallen guard and whispered, "You see, Commander? The weak can still choose when to rise." Outside in the endless red desert, Lyra's stolen transport moved across the dunes. The stars above shimmered like watchful eyes. She didn't know where the fortress was. She only followed the voice inside her mind, faint, distant, but real. And far away, Naya opened her eyes again. The energy inside her was stronger than ever. The humans thought they had bought a broken slave. But what they really bought was the beginning of something no human could ever control. The fortress of Commander Bragg never slept. Its halls glowed with red lights and machines hummed like living things. Cameras turned, soldiers marched, and the sound of heavy boots echoed through the steel corridors. But deep below, in Cell Block Delta, a quiet storm was growing. Naya sat in the corner of her cell, her eyes half closed. Her wrists were marked with glowing bands that blocked energy movement. Every few seconds they flashed blue, a sign that the humans feared her power, yet Naya wasn't afraid. She was waiting. Each night she reached a little further into the fortress with her mind. She could now hear whispers from other prisoners, alien voices crying, praying, and cursing. She could even sense machines, cold, mechanical minds humming in endless patterns. In her thoughts, she started to weave them all together like threads in a web. In the upper levels, Commander Bragg sat in his office surrounded by trophies, alien skulls, armor, and bones from the war. He held a glass of dark wine and laughed as he watched the monitor showing Naya in her cell. "Look at her," he said to Dr. Seelan. "So small, so delicate, yet her kind made us fear the dark ones. I will cut her open and see what made her special." Dr. Seelan didn't smile. Her eyes stayed on the screen. Be careful, Commander. Ellerins are not like other aliens. They don't fight with claws. They fight with silence. Bragg slammed his glass on the table. I control this fortress, Doctor. Silence means nothing to me. But as he spoke, the lights flickered, once, twice, and then steadied. Bragg frowned. Fix the power grid, he barked. Yes, sir, said Seelan softly, though she knew the problem wasn't the power. It was something else, something alive. That night, the fortress became strangely quiet. The soldiers who guarded the lower floors started hearing voices in their sleep, whispers that made no sense. One man woke up sweating, saying he heard his dead wife's voice calling his name. Another guard shot at the walls, claiming shadows were moving. In her cell, Naya opened her eyes and whispered, "They're starting to hear me." She reached out again, her thoughts flowing like light through invisible wires. She touched one mind, then another. The guards' memories flashed before her, faces of their families, their fears, their guilt. She didn't want to kill them. Not yet. She wanted them to feel what they had made others feel, powerless. The glowing bands on her wrists began to crack. Blue sparks jumped from them. The air around her shimmered. The machines in the room started to hum in rhythm with her heartbeat. The cell door clicked once, then again, and unlocked. Up above, alarms began to beep softly. Red lights blinked on the control boards. Unauthorized access detected in Sector 9, said a robotic voice. Dr. Seelan turned to Commander Bragg. Sir, it's the Illyran. Bragg grabbed his plasma gun and roared, Seal the floor! Don't let her out. But it was too late. The cameras showed the cell door wide open. Naya stood in the hallway surrounded by flickering lights. Her silver hair floated around her like smoke. The guards aimed their weapons but their hands shook. Stay back, one shouted. Naya looked at him calmly. You don't want to shoot? The man's gun dropped from his hands. His eyes rolled back and he fell. The others turned and ran. Naya stepped forward. Each step made the floor vibrate softly. The golden glow in her eyes grew brighter, spreading through the hall like sunlight in water. At the same time, far away in the red desert, Lyra's transport moved closer to the fortress. She had tracked its energy signal for days, surviving on scraps and hope. Every night she felt her sister's voice growing stronger inside her mind. This night, the voice was clear. I'm awake, Lyra gasped. Naya, where are you? Inside the fortress. Don't come yet. I'm not ready to leave. But you're in danger. No, said the voice. They are. Inside the fortress, Commander Bragg stormed into the lower levels with a group of soldiers. Smoke filled the halls. Sparks rained from broken lights. He shouted, Where is she? Then from the dark, a calm voice answered. Behind you. Bragg turned, but before he could fire, he felt his mind go blank, a cold hand touching his thoughts. Naya stood a few feet away, her eyes glowing like twin suns. You wanted to see what made me special, she whispered. Now you will, Bragg screamed, but no sound came out. His body froze. Dr. Seelan watched from the corner, speechless. For the first time in years, she felt fear. Not for her life, but for humanity itself. The fortress trembled as Naya's power spread like a storm. Alarms screamed, glass shattered, and the walls cracked. Far above, Lyra saw the sky flash gold. She didn't know what was happening, only that her sister was no longer a prisoner. And as the golden light reached the heavens, a voice echoed across the stars. Humans think they own everything, but they forget even light can rebel. Smoke filled the fortress of Commander Bragg. Red warning lights flashed across the metal walls, and the sound of alarms echoed like endless screams. The ground trembled with every heartbeat. Humans ran through the halls, shouting orders and shooting at shadows. But the shadows moved on their own now, bending, whispering, alive. And in the middle of it all stood Naya. Her silver hair floated in the air as if caught in a silent wind. Her eyes glowed gold, brighter than any light in the fortress. Around her, weapons melted, glass cracked, and metal doors twisted like soft clay. She was no longer the weak girl who had begged to be sold. She had become something far more powerful, something the humans thought was extinct. She was Elira's echo, the last living carrier of the mind flame, an ancient force that could touch thoughts, emotions, and even machines. Commander Bragg hid inside his control room, his face pale with terror. The wall shook again and the screens flickered. showing Naya moving closer to the core of the fortress. Dr. Seelan stood beside him, trying to override the systems. Sir, she's controlling the entire network. Every door, every sensor, they all respond to her now. Bragg slammed his fist on the console. Impossible! She's just one girl, Seelan whispered. Not anymore. On the screen, Naya raised her hand. Dozens of metal drones lifted into the air and turned toward their human masters. The machine's red lights turned gold, matching her eyes. The fortress AI spoke suddenly, its voice calm and robotic. New command accepted, obey the Illyran unit. Bragg's mouth opened, but no sound came out. His empire, built on chains and fear, had just bent the knee to the very creature he enslaved. Down below, the alien prisoners began to wake. Their cells unlocked one by one without a single human touch. A six-armed miner stepped out and looked around in disbelief. She's doing this, he whispered. A young reptilian girl knelt on the ground, tears in her glowing eyes. She freed us. They followed the light that filled the halls, warm and golden, not like the cold blue light of human machines. It felt alive, full of hope and memory. As they walked, voices filled their minds, Naya's voice. You are not tools. You are not slaves. You are survivors. Now rise. In the control room, Bragg stared at the monitor, sweat dripping from his forehead. She'll kill us all, he said. Stop her, Seelan. You're the scientist. You must have something. Seelan typed quickly, searching old files. There's one thing, she said. The mind flame can be disrupted with a pulse, a brain shock that breaks telepathic focus. But it could kill her. Bragg grinned wildly. Do it, Seelan hesitated. She looked at the screen where Naya walked slowly through fire and smoke, freeing her people. There was no hate on her face, only sadness. Commander, Seelan said softly, do you know why she begged you to buy her? Bragg blinked. What? She wanted to be here, Seelan said. She wanted inside your fortress. Before Bragg could reply, the doors behind them slid open with a hiss. Naya walked in. The lights turned gold again, and the air grew still. Bragg lifted his gun, but his hand shook so much he could barely aim. Stay back, he shouted. Naya's voice was calm. You killed thousands of my kind. You burned our cities, but I didn't come to kill you. Bragg frowned. Then what do you want? She stepped closer. To show you what fear feels like. In an instant, her power reached his mind. Images flooded him. The screams of the aliens he tortured, the faces of every creature he sold. He fell to his knees, clutching his head, crying like a child. Seelan backed away, whispering, She's inside his mind. Naya looked at her. You helped him, why? Seelan lowered her eyes. Because I was afraid. Naya's voice softened. Then you understand him. Fear built this place. Fear ruled this world. She looked around at the burning walls. Now it ends. Outside, lightning flashed in the red sky. From far away, Lyra saw the fortress glowing like a golden star in the desert. She gasped. Naya, what have you done? Her sister's voice reached her mind again. Calm, but different now, almost echoing with energy. I'm showing them what we hid for centuries. What are you? Lyra whispered. I am what they made me forget. Back inside, Naya stood over Commander Bragg, who now lay motionless on the floor, whispering nonsense. His mind was broken, trapped inside his own fears. She looked at Seelan and said quietly, Take the survivors. Leave this place. Tell your people the truth. Seelan's eyes trembled. What truth? Naya turned toward the giant window, staring at the twin moons outside. That humans never conquered Illyra, she said. They only delayed its return. A massive explosion shook the fortress as power surged. Naya closed her eyes and disappeared in a burst of golden light, her energy spreading through every system. Every wire, every starship orbiting the planet, and somewhere in the wind. Her whisper remained, The weak do not bow, they wait, until the strong forget why they're strong. The fortress of Commander Bragg burned like a dying sun. Golden red flames rose high into the sky, painting the desert in strange light. The air was filled with smoke, metal dust, and the sound of alarms still echoing in broken halls. From far away, Lyra watched it, her heart pounding with fear and hope. The transport ship she'd stolen rattled on the rocky sand, its engines screaming. She didn't care. She needed to reach her sister. Naya, she whispered. I'm coming. As she got closer, the wind changed. It carried a strange warmth, not heat from fire, but a pulse like a heartbeat running through the world. It made her skin glow faintly, and her eyes flashed gold for a moment. That's when she knew her sister was alive. Inside the fortress, chaos ruled. The human soldiers had lost control. Doors opened on their own, lights turned into blinding gold, and weapons refused to fire. Drones now served another master, the Illyran girl who had been sold like an animal. Naya moved through the halls like a spirit. Every step she took left a trail of soft light on the floor. Around her, alien prisoners followed, once broken, now burning with purpose. One of them, a tall creature with crystal skin, asked, "What do we do now, Great One?" Naya looked up at the trembling ceiling. "You fight for the right to live, not for revenge. But the humans will learn," she said quietly. "The price of fear." She raised her hands. The air shook and the power inside her spread again, reaching every corner of the fortress. Metal melted, ships crashed, and communication systems burst with sparks. Far above in orbit, human warships picked up strange energy readings. "Massive surge detected," one officer shouted. "It's coming from inside the fortress." The captain frowned. "Lock weapons. If that power spreads, we'll lose the entire sector." But before they could fire, their control panels flickered. A voice whispered through their radios. Soft, calm, terrifying. "Don't touch what you don't understand." And every ship went dark. Lyra's transport reached the burning gates. She jumped out and ran through the smoke, coughing, shielding her face. The heat was unbearable, but her heart pulled her forward. Inside, she saw prisoners running free, carrying wounded, shouting in strange alien tongues. Some looked at her and gasped. Her eyes were glowing just like Naya's. "Who are you?" one asked. "Her sister," Lyra said, still running. "Where is she?" They pointed toward the upper tower, the command center. "She's there." With the human scientist, Lyra didn't stop. She ran up the stairs, each step shaking under her feet. Fire cracked the walls and metal beams fell, but she kept climbing. At the top, Naya stood in the control room. The sky outside the broken window burned red and gold. Dr. Seelan was there too, helping the wounded aliens escape through emergency pods. "You should leave," Naya said. "Your people will come soon." Seelan nodded. "And you?" Naya looked down at the golden light pulsing through the fortress. "I am not leaving." "Not yet." Just then, Lyra burst into the room. "Naya!" she screamed. Her sister turned, her eyes softening for the first time. "Lyra!" The two ran toward each other and embraced. For a moment, all the chaos around them faded. "I thought you were dead," Lyra whispered. Naya smiled faintly. "Not yet. I had to wake up first." Lyra pulled back, looking at her glowing hands. "What happened to you?" Naya took her sister's face in her hands. "It's not just me anymore. Lyra lives inside us both. They tried to destroy our kind, but they only helped us evolve." The floor shook violently. Outside, the human ships were regrouping. Seelan looked at the radar. "They're charging plasma cannons. You have minutes before this whole place is vaporized." Naya looked at Lyra. "Then we end it now." They stood side by side, holding hands. The golden energy flowed between them, rising like fire made of light. The sky above the fortress opened with thunder. The human fleet fired. Beams of plasma cut through the clouds. But before they could strike, Naya lifted her hand. The energy wave that burst from her was blinding. It swallowed the fire, the ships, the sky itself. For a moment, the world turned silent. From space, all that could be seen was a golden ring expanding across the desert, then vanishing. When the light faded, the fortress was gone. The desert was quiet again. Lyra woke up on the sand hours later. The sun was rising. Her body ached, but she was alive. "Naya," she whispered. No answer. Only a soft glow in the air, like golden dust floating in sunlight. Then she heard her sister's voice inside her mind, gentle, almost like a dream. "I'm still here, Lyra, everywhere." Lyra looked at the horizon. The human ships were gone. The sky was clear. She smiled weakly. "Then it's over." "No," said Naya's voice. "It's beginning." "No," said Naya's voice. "It's beginning." The wind blew softly, carrying the faint hum of energy, the promise of a new dawn, and the warning of what was coming next. The red desert was silent. Wind moved across the dunes, carrying ash and golden dust from the ruins of the human fortress. The air shimmered faintly, warm, strange, alive. as if the world itself remembered what had happened. Lyra stood alone at the edge of the crater where the fortress once stood. The sun rose slowly behind her, turning the sky from black to deep orange. She could still feel the echo of the explosion in her bones, and her sister's voice whispering inside her mind. "Naya," she said softly, her voice trembling. "Where are you?" The wind answered, but not with words. Instead, it carried a hum, a soft golden vibration, like a heartbeat hidden in the air. Lyra closed her eyes and felt it move through her. It wasn't just a sound. It was a presence. "I told you, sister," the voice came, gentle and calm. "I'm everywhere now." Lyra fell to her knees. "I can't see you. I can't feel you." "Look closer," Naya said. The humans burned Elira's body, but they could never kill its spirit. The mind flame lives in every thought, every piece of light. Lyra looked at her hands. Her skin glowed faintly. Sparks of gold moved through her veins. "You gave me your power." "No," Naya replied. "I shared it. You are part of it now." The Elirans were never a single race. We were an idea, a bridge between life and thought. And now you are that bridge. For a while, Lyra said nothing. She looked across the desert, where freed aliens were gathering. Some were building shelters. Others buried the dead. They moved quietly, watching her with awe. An old miner with crystal skin approached. "You are her sister," he said. "The one she trusted." Lyra nodded slowly. "I was. She saved us," the miner said. "But humans will come again. They always do." Lyra looked at the horizon. The air trembled there, distant lights moving among the clouds. Human ships, maybe. Or something worse. She took a deep breath. "Then we must be ready." In orbit above the planet, the surviving human fleet floated in silence. Their systems were damaged. Their AI network still carried traces of Naya's energy. Some screens showed golden symbols that no human could read. On the command ship, Dr. Seelan watched through the main window. The planet below glowed faintly with golden veins and like a heart beating under sand. A soldier behind her spoke nervously. "Ma'am, what are your orders? Should we attack again?" Seelan shook her head. "No, not now. But what if she's still alive?" Seelan looked at the planet. "That's the problem. She's not alive. She's awake." Back on the surface, night began to fall. The twin red moons rose again, shining over the desert. Lyra sat by a small fire surrounded by survivors, humans and aliens both. Some had joined her after seeing what Naya did. A young human soldier, his uniform torn and face pale, approached her. "You don't hate us?" he asked quietly. Lyra looked into the flames. "I don't hate you. Hate is what built this world. My sister wanted to end that," he frowned. "Then what happens now?" She smiled faintly. "Now we rebuild. Together, if you can learn." The soldier looked down. "And if we don't?" Lyra's golden eyes met his. "Then Elira will remind you again." That night, Lyra couldn't sleep. She climbed a tall dune and looked up at the sky. The stars shone brighter than ever, and among them, she saw something strange. A faint ring of gold moving slowly across space, like a scar of light. It was the mark of the mind flame, Naya's final gift. As she watched, the wind began to whisper again. This time it wasn't just Naya's voice. It was hundreds of voices blending into one. Eliran, human, and others, all connected through the same golden thread. "We are the memory of the forgotten," the voices said. "We are the light that learned fear, and then turned it into strength." Lyra closed her eyes and let the sound wash over her. She understood now. Naya hadn't died. She had changed. She had become part of the universe itself, spreading the mind flame to every corner of creation. But with power came danger. If the humans tried to control it again, if they built new weapons, the flame would react, and this time it wouldn't whisper. It would roar. Far away in the dark corridors of a damaged human ship, a small monitor flickered on by itself. The screen showed static, then slowly formed a face, Naya's golden eyes staring straight at the camera. A calm voice spoke from the speakers. "You wanted gods, Commander Bragg. You made them. Now learn to live with them." The monitor went dark. The ship's engines powered down. On the planet, Lyra watched the first sunrise of the New Age. The sand glittered like gold, and the survivors began to sing in quiet tones. An Eliran melody that hadn't been heard since before the war. she whispered softly. Goodbye, Naya. But the wind carried back a gentle laugh. Not goodbye, sister. Never goodbye. The golden dust rose from the ground, swirling around her like stars, and in that moment Lyra understood. The story wasn't ending. It was only changing shape. The humans would remember the day the slave became the storm. And the universe would never forget the name Naya of Elira, the girl who sold herself to save the stars.